E3 is just around the corner, and without a doubt it will be filled with lies and sadness again. It always is. Lies, sadness, and people who should be professionals in the gaming industry and press clapping like train seals for every CGI that's pretending to be gameplay and yelling like deranged howler monkeys. So let's count down the top 7 events that are certain to happen this year at E3. And even if it doesn't happen, you can still be sure that this show has more truth in it than most E3 trailers and presentations. I mean, remember Milo for Natal? Yeah, Microsoft doesn't either. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that I'm not putting Watch Dogs 2 on the list because we know it's coming, we know it'll be there, and I don't care. The first one showed promise at E3 after all. It showed a lot of promise at E3. Didn't have any. Well, the multiplayer was nice, but the basic game was kinda So, that being said, let's get the ball rolling with number 7. The Xbox One 2. Or the Xbox 4? 3.5. I have no idea what they're gonna call it because Microsoft sort of put themselves in a box. They cornered them, so they made a really not very good decision when calling this console the Xbox One because there was an Xbox One and this will have a sequel, so it's gonna be the Xbox 1.5, 1 plus 1. It's the next iteration of the Xbox console. It will be based on similar technology, again with an x86 processor just like the old one. Well, not that old, but still old enough to get a replacement because they didn't really think the whole, maybe we should wait for the 14mm FinFET thing before we make the console. But they didn't, and for some reason they sound like Bulgarians, I guess. Anyway, it's known-ish on the internet that there will be a new Xbox announced this year. It will also kinda sort of be released this year. Well, if not this year, then in January, February of next year. And they're gonna add more graphics power to it. Probably some CPU upgrades as well because it would need some on account of, well, how shall I put this, those Jaguar cores, they're from the Bulldozer architecture and they can't do crap with DirectX 12. That's why AMD is switching to Zen, which doesn't use Bulldozer in any way, shape or form because Bulldozer was crap. And on the video side, it will have more powerful hardware that's capable of actually doing VR, namely the Oculus Rift. Certain sources from the internet say that they're gonna actually support the Oculus Rift directly on Xbox 1.5. Also, you know what would be nice if they actually release some games for this one? Because let's count the exclusives that Xbox One had. Halo 5, which no one liked, and that's it. Well, yeah, I know it's a few more, but mainly not that many games. So they're probably gonna announce a few more. Because if they don't, this is gonna sell just as badly as the Xbox One, which is now selling so badly they're not announcing sales numbers anymore. It's being outsold by the competition by multiples, like integer number multiples. Speaking of which, let's get to number 6, which is the PlayStation 4K, or the PlayStation 4 Neo as it's sometimes referred to. This will be again a replacement for the PlayStation 4, which is still selling well today, though it does have a bit of an underpower issue just like the Xbox One because they released them at a very wrong time. Had they released them earlier, yeah, they would have been better-ish. Had they waited a bit more, they would have been better-ish. But now they're not. Though it can run stuff like Uncharted 4 in great detail and it looks fantastic at 30 frames a second, very few studios are actually Sony first party anymore. So they're gonna need bigger hardware, more powerful hardware, which is what they're gonna do again by using mostly the same idea that Microsoft will be using, switching to a more powerful GPU and probably tweaking the CPU. Though from what I understand, the CPU won't be utterly replaced, just tweaked. Better bend, higher frequencies and so such. And the reason they're making this console, well, one, because the current one is a bit underpowered, is that they're gonna need it for PlayStation 4 VR, for that Project Morpheus thing, because PlayStation 4 apparently won't run it that well. Yeah, it can run movies, it can run simple 3D stuff, but actual games, like actual PlayStation 4 level games, Uncharted 4, Killzone, no, it can't do those in VR. It cannot. It will explode if it tries. But the PlayStation 4K, which again will not run games in 4K, oh my god, it will not, has a chance to actually do that. Now, maybe not in max detail, and the resolution will probably be a bit low, but still, it has a chance. The important factor to remember is that on consoles, there is less overhead, so rendering a single frame takes less hassle than on the PC. Now, Vulkan and DirectX 12 should fix that. Currently, it's not doing because there's only one actual game with DirectX 12 in it, namely Ashes of the Singularity. The rest are just crap that's been ported with no optimization. But with that, the console should be able to deliver better performing VR than on a PC slightly. Very slightly because, well, after seeing the thingamajig that Nvidia did, the simultaneous multi-projection thing, yeah, you can do VR with a lot less power now on the PC. But it will be possible on consoles as well. So the VR revolution is here to stay, my friends and enemies. And people who said, oh, VR is dumb, 3D televisions fail, this one will fail too, I eat glue because I'm dumb. Yeah, that's what you sound like. Number 5, the Nintendo NX. Now, they have stated that the show they're gonna have prepared for E3 will be mostly about the new Zelda game, but that's a release title for Nintendo NX. Now, the Wii U could have had some potential. It was a console and a tablet at the same time. They could have just made mobile games for it and charged for them or have in-game purchases. And generally, what Nintendo is making now with allowing other people to make apps, phone apps, based on their properties, they should have done when this thing was launched Oh, I guess about 4 years ago. But they didn't, and they paid for it. That and for not releasing any actual games for the Nintendo Wii U. Also for it not having that good a hardware. The new version is gonna be a lot more beefy. It's gonna be, well, probably the first major upgrade they've actually done to their console lineup since the GameCube maybe. Because, well, the Wii U was more powerful compared to the Wii. It still was crap. Utter crap in terms of performance. But now they've got a chance. And if they don't screw up, it will be good because already they have a launch title. They have what the Wii U didn't have. An actual goddamn good launch title. The new Legend of Zelda game, which they actually announced initially as a title for the Wii U. And it never came because they knew they had a lemon on their hands. Now, were they to announce a new Metroid game as well that's not made by the people at Team Ninja or anyone involved with Other M, it would be glorious. Like, this console could revitalize Nintendo. Well, yeah, Nintendo's already making bank on amiibos, which are fundamentally pointless, and they're gonna rule planet Earth when that Pokemon Go thing releases. But still, having actual selling profitable consoles wouldn't hurt. And with that, all I can say is that E3 2016 will herald the end of this current console generation. Yeah, there's gonna be compatibility between those, but frankly, the Wii wasn't part of the same generation of consoles as the GameCube, even though it had full compatibility between those thingamajigs. Same goes to PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1. Compatible games, not same generation, different hardware, but compatible. Now let's get to the stuff that's actually interesting. Number 4. Squadron 42 gets a release date. Cloud Imperium Games has stated that this game will be released this year. This is the single-player portion of Star Citizen. It's the one where you have Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, all in a campaign about fighting an alien invader in space and just about attempting to recreate Wing Commander. This is different from Star Citizen because that's the online MMO sprawling world complex. Oh my god, this game is more complicated than anything other than Dwarf Fortress, and it could probably actually use more money to actually be made, so stop whining about it getting $100 million. Squadron 42 is a more doable game, which is why they will release it this year unless, again, they announce a delay for it. But they will announce the date at E3. That's what I'm guessing will happen. Now, I don't have evidence for this, but there is a PC gaming conference at E3. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, CIG was there, so they're probably gonna be there again, announcing the release date for Squadron 42. Also, they will probably announce the new goalpost for Star Citizen proper, as in when the next version will come out, that will add the FPS component fully, that will expand upon the open world segment, and so such. Now, some of you will probably say that it's already overdue, that it's been delayed so many times that at this point, who cares? I mean, they announced it in 2012 when it was still in a concept phase. They began production in 2013 with about 10 people, and they slowly ramped up to a few hundred people by building new studios to make this game. So why hasn't it been released yet? Well, I've just explained why, because they had to build a company around it. It takes time. It's like those people complaining that GTA 6 isn't out yet. I mean, it's been 3 years since GTA 5 was released. Why isn't GTA 6 out yet? Because making games actually takes time. Making anything good actually takes time, which is why this show sucks. Number 3. Red Dead Redemption 2 will be announced. Some people are still hoping it will be GTA 6, but it won't because Rockstar doesn't need that much money right now, actually. They're doing fine with shark cards, they're doing fine with just selling GTA 5 normally. But they can expand the Red Dead Redemption franchise again with a sequel that's gonna actually be released for PC this time. Why? Because unlike GTA 4, GTA 5 was actually a good PC port. It didn't use Games for Windows Satan Live. It's a good game. Disappointing campaign, but still a good game. One that's selling on PC incredibly well constantly. Like even a year later, still selling like hotcakes. And that's gonna make them release Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC as well. Now this game takes place a little while before the first one, if I remember right. It's gonna be a bit to the northeast of the region where Red Dead Redemption took place. It's gonna be a bit more of a primitive Wild West with not as many railroads everywhere, a little less civilization, more outlaws, more gunslinging, probably more killing stuff, and the occasional person on YouTube posting that they found a werewolf or something. It's coming, be sure of it. Number 2. Prey 2. Now, Prey 2 is gonna be a bit of a strange thing because it's not gonna be the Prey 2 that Human Head developed that they showed off at E3 a while ago. It's gonna be a different Prey 2. A Prey 2 that's made by Arcane, which is also making Dishonored 2. Now, Dishonored 2 will be released this year. It's very close to being finished. At this point, the majority of the people working at the studio are already free to do something else. Not only that, but Arcane has 2 studios, one in Austin, one in Lyon, France, which I've been led to believe that has begun working on Prey 2 for some time now. And they're taking everything from zero. They're not gonna be using the Human Head version to build upon. Instead, they're gonna make System Shock 3. Yes, even though there is a System Shock 3 in development, like actual development by the people that made System Shock 1 and 2. Well, 1, not 2. The people that made 2 made Bioshock, and then forgot about good games and made Bioshock Infinite, and then just quit because reasons. But this Prey 2 is gonna be a lot like System Shock from what they said in several of the pitch documents that have been released on the internet, well, leaked on the internet. And I have no doubt that it will be good because Arcane has already done a great Ultima Underworld game with Arx Fatalis. It's done a great Thief game, well, better than a new Thief, with Dishonored. So why not complete the set of remaking old Looking Glass games with their own System Shock? Now, it's a bit of a shame that they're using Prey 2 to do it, because Prey itself did have a legacy from back in the day. I'm gonna try and do a show about the original Prey eventually, because it was a very interesting game in the way it was developed and what it promised to bring in terms of gameplay, technology, and so on. And now, number 1, Half-Life 3. Now, if you've seen my show about predictions about 2016, which is not in English but does have English subtitles, then this isn't that much of a spoiler because it's the same thing. I predicted that at a PC gaming conference. Suddenly, maybe after Lisa Su from AMD presents some new video cards, the stage will be empty, lights will go dim, a short trailer that's very familiar will show up, and then Gabe Newell walks up and says, Half-Life 3 is now available on Steam, then drops the mic and leaves. Now, at that point, I predict that everyone at E3 will just go away. Like, there will be no more E3 after that day. Everyone will be home playing Half-Life 3. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration because at best I can hope for an announcement for the release date because we know they're working on it. They're not doing anything else because honestly, the Team Fortress 2 community is already doing all the hats by themselves, the Counter-Strike community is already making all the maps. No one at Valve is actually working on anything right now, so it's probably Half-Life 3. I'm hoping it's gonna be Left 4 Dead 3. They're gonna announce Left 4 Dead 3 instead of Half-Life 3, and you heard it here first. Well, that's it for my top 7 predictions for E3 2016. I'd like to give a special mention to Microsoft rethinking their whole let's make games for the PC as well, mostly because they realize they're not selling Xboxes, so they're gonna screw us over again, like they've always done since the beginning of time.
If you enjoyed this show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Or, if you thought it was horrible, then share it with your enemies and make them suffer. We shall be your weapon of vengeance. But if you liked what you saw, you could, I don't know, maybe donate, because basically YouTube is horrible at revenue, by using the link in the description, or just buy my book. It's a fantasy book about, well, a lot of stuff. I guarantee it won't suck, and if it does suck, you can find me here and complain about it.